Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and Mary Jo is laughing. She's making me laugh. And this is the April 2014 PracticeMaster Virtual User Group meeting. And you are here, and we are here. And we are going to talk today about, oh, that's the wrong list. There we go. The reports that come with PracticeMaster. A lot of people don't know it, but there are quite a few reports that come built into the report writer, kind of as a starting point for what you might want to do with some custom reports of your own. Some of them you can use right out of the box, and they'll do exactly what you want to do. Mary Jo's going to talk more about that. I am going to talk about turning a filter that you may have used prior to version 17 into a quick view, just a way to bring it out a little bit closer to the surface so it's right there for you to click on and access without having to explain to people how to get to it. You'll see what I mean when we talk about that. But first, a little bit of housekeeping. This is our GoToWebinar control panel, which you probably have on your screen unless you've been here before and you've already dutifully clicked this button that looks like an arrow pointing to the right. That means to collapse this control panel. In other words, get it out of the way so that you can see what's behind it, which is probably my screen. This button that you click that looks like an arrow pointing to the right will turn into an arrow pointing to the left once you click it, because that means when you click it again that it'll bring this back into focus. And why would you want to bring this back into focus or pop it back out from the right-hand side of your screen? Because you're shy and you want to ask a question. So if you don't want to ask your question live, you can just bring out this control panel and type your question here. And don't forget to hit send. Leanne, our, what is she today? Our flamboyant and humble moderator will recognize that you have asked a question. She will wait until the opportune moment. She'll interrupt me and Mary Jo or whoever's talking, and she will ask your question on your behalf. Now, if we are answering your question and you come up with other questions to follow up, just keep typing them here. Keep remembering to hit send. Leanne will keep asking them for you. We want to make sure that you get your question fully answered. If you're not feeling shy, then click this button here. This looks kind of like a hand with something that looks kind of like an arrow in front of it. And that arrow is pointing upward, and that means raise your hand. Same thing will happen. Leanne will notice you have a question. She'll interrupt us at the opportune time, but instead of reading your question, she'll just unmute your mic and let you ask your own darn question. So if you want to ask a question live, click this button. If you want to ask a question that Leanne will read on your behalf, type it here and hit send, and we will make sure to answer that question. So without any further ado, I'm going to hit this magic button and this magic button and this magic button. And we're in PracticeMaster, and Mary Jo can now talk about reports. Mary Jo?
Okay, reports. A little report tab here in PracticeMaster. These reports here on the screen are ones that are defaulting to be on the screen. You can actually customize and pull reports out of Report Writer, which I'm going to show you in a moment, and customize this to be specific reports that either you've created or ones that are not showing on here that you want to show. Conflict search and context search are pretty self-explanatory, same with document search, but there are a couple here. Client summary report, the daily report is a big one that people use quite frequently, graphical calendar report. All of these reports are already pre-built and they're already here on the screen. Now, if you want to go a little deeper, Report Writer, and a lot of people don't know if they're, they don't click on this because they're thinking, well, Report Writer means I have to write a report. I don't know how to do that, so I'm not going to even click on that icon. But if you do click on that icon, here are all kinds of different reports that come standard with PracticeMaster. So if you didn't know that these were in here, just because they're not showing on another screen, they are still available for you to click on and to print, either right from here or, like I said, if you find one that you like, you can customize that report screen and pull it out so that you can get to it easier. So you can see there's all kinds of different calendar reports. There's several clients reports. A master client list is a popular one here. Area practice client list, calendar code list, all kinds of things that you have in here. So if you just want a list of all the calendar codes, there you go. Alphabetical client list, that's another one. The fee report, I'm going to talk about the fee recap report in a moment. That one does not come standard, but I'm going to show you that report that we can actually provide for you, because a lot of times timekeepers want to have their attorneys, staff or whoever wants to have their attorneys be able to see a quick report of all the time that they've put in and they don't want to have them go out to tabs to print something. So we've got a fee recap report that Paul and I have created that you can actually pop right in very easily and have that available for them in PracticeMaster. So talk more about that in a moment. There's all kinds of journal reports. There are other fee reports. There are, oh gosh, just all kinds. So I would suggest that you come in here, to-do lists, workflow lists, all kinds of things out here that are already pre-created. I'm also going to show you how easy it is to modify a report. So I'm going to take the duplicate contacts report, for instance. So if any of you have upgraded from version 15 to 16, you know that we had a whole bunch of contact layout changes. The whole way that we displayed contacts changed in the client screen, on the contact window, and it did create some duplicates here and there. So they created this duplicate contact report so you could easily print this out and look at it to see where your duplicates were. Well, I'm going to show you how it comes out of the box. So I'm just going to highlight it, and I'm going to click Modify. The first screen is just telling me the name of the report and how I'm going to export it and things like that. There's also fields that have could be created. There's filters. This one is just saying to if it's a duplicate, basically. But the image layout is where I want to focus on today. Right now, if you just printed this duplicate contact report, all you're going to get is the contact's ID and the contact name. That may or may not help you when you are trying to figure out whether it's a duplicate or not. And I find that having the address or maybe even the work phone number added on to this particular report helps me decide whether this is one location or another. The other thing I want you to pay attention to is the length of these fields. When you add a field, it can be so many, I'm not going to say characters because it's deceiving. If I double click on this particular one and I look at the field width, it says 50. And my first thought would be that was 50 characters, but that's not true. It's just giving it a width of 50. This can be cut down to 25, for instance, take up a little less space. Same thing for the name. And you'll have to play with this. You don't want to cut something off, but for the most part, these will be long enough in your columns on your report. And the reason that's important is you only have so many characters across here. And the more characters I take up, the smaller the print will be. I'm sorry, width. I keep saying characters, but the more width that you take up here, the smaller your print will be when your report prints out. And a lot of times you'll have a whole bunch of fields across here and you're printing a report and it's microscopic, and that's why. So if you reduce some of these field widths in here, that will make the print be a little bit larger. So I want to add the address field, and maybe I'll do address 1, 2, 3, or address 1 and city, state, zip. Any of those things I can add in. So I'm highlighted on my name field. So the next field that I add is going to come right over here next to the name field. And this little plus sign lets me add a field. So I'm just going to come down here and add the address 1. Again, I'm just going to make it 25. And again, you may have to adjust this. If it's cutting something off, just come in and make that width just be a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to add, for sake of time, city, state, and zip. And we'll just leave that. And we will add state and zip. And now I've just changed that report to include those fields, kept my width small, and now I'll just save it. And if I print it, and I'm just going to preview, I'll have all of my columns. Oops, I don't have any. It's test data. We don't have any duplicate contacts. But it would have all of those fields. So that's simply, if you have a report that you see that you want to add a couple of fields, just come to the image layout, click the plus sign, and it will allow you to look at all of these different fields. Now, another thing that I'll show you very quickly is for timekeeper, for instance. If I want to get down to the timekeeper window or field, let me find where I have that. Well, do I have it on this report? Did I pass it? I probably passed it like 3 times. No, I'm in the contact. I don't have a timekeeper field for the contact. Let me get into a report that I have. Yeah, hold on a minute. Let me do a client report because I want to show you how you can also drill down. So here's an alphabetical list, client list. So if I modify that and I go to my image layout, and let's say that I want to add the timekeeper. There's also a way, so let's go to primary. There's a little lookup button here because we know that timekeeper can be listed by number, It could be listed by name, initials. There's a lot of different things here that I can pull out and put on there. By clicking the lookup, I have some choices of how I want that to look on the report. So if I wanted to show the timekeeper initials, I could choose that, and I can add that to the report, and it would have the initials, and so on. So there's a lot of little tricks and tips in there for reports. I'm not going to go into too much depth. I just want to show you that it's easy to modify simple changes like that by just clicking on the plus sign, adding it, and keeping my width low, as low as possible. We don't want to take up any blank space on that column layout. So that would be an example of some of the tweaking that you can do for the reports. But I want to show you this fee recap report. This is a report that we created to put in here, and I'm going to print it out so I can show you what it looks like. I can choose the timekeeper, so I can either do it for one timekeeper or all, and I can choose a date range. Now remember, if you're only pulling over or only showing your WIP time in PracticeMaster, that's all it's going to show. You do have an option when you integrate or you sync tabs in PracticeMaster to bring over your archived fee transactions. Some firms like that. They want to show all time that's ever been billed or is in WIP in PracticeMaster. Most times you probably are just going to have the WIP. So just keep that in mind. If you're not showing archived, it can be done, but it's not done very often. So I'm just going to print this report for everybody, just for this date range in my test data. And I will get a quick report for, here's the first timekeeper, and it just is going to show me the date, the timekeeper, the description, the bill code, whether it was billable or non-billable, what the hours worked, bill, rate, and amount was. If I scroll down, I'll have my next timekeeper. So here's Pam. She has several entries, and her total of what she has billable in WIP out there right now. So this is a good report for attorneys. They don't want to have to get out of PracticeMaster if they're working in there now. And again, if I want to just do it by timekeeper number 2 to number 2, I'll just do Pam. We'll print that and preview so they can just do it for themselves, or maybe you have managing partners that want to see everybody. But now I can just print this off on a one-page report and see everything without having to go to tabs and do a transaction file list. So again, keeps them in PracticeMaster, don't have to leave, and they can get their quick view of what they've worked for any date range that they decide. So if anybody's interested in that report, it's very easy to get it to you. All of the report definitions are stored in the STI directory in that folder. So if I were on my system and I were into our test data, you have a CM report folder right here. And if I send you in an email this fee recap file, .rw, and you copy that out of the email and paste it into your CM report folder, then when you get into PracticeMaster, you can go to Report Writer and you can hit this little rebuild table of contents, and it will pop right in there for you. And you can have that available. And anybody that's listening today, if you want to have that, you can just contact Paul or I, and we will be glad to send that to you so that you can pop it in. If you have any other questions or you want some help with any reports or you want to tweak anything, we can also help you with that. And are there any questions, Leanne?
Yes, Mary Jo. Ann wants to know if that report can be done in tabs or just in PracticeMaster.
Just in PracticeMaster. That report it's a PracticeMaster report to keep them in PracticeMaster so that they don't have to go out into tabs. Now in tabs, they could do the recap of hours report, they could do a transaction file list. If they want all of the detail and they want to print it off, that would be a transaction file list. And they would have to go in and choose, some parameters, but they could get that same descriptions and all of that. But that would be a transaction file list in tabs. Other questions?
No other questions.
Okay, Paul, I'm going to send it to you.
Okay, thank you. And I am going to talk about filters. Now, we've had filters for a long time in PracticeMaster. If we go into the client file, for example, I am now in a list of clients, and if I click on filters over here in Quick Clicks, I have some that have already been billed. I have one for MLJ's clients, I have one for Pam's clients, I have one for RPA's clients. And you may have filters to do all sorts of things if you've worked with filters in PracticeMaster. You might have filters to show you everybody in Toledo, or all the people that are a certain area of practice, or all the active cases that are older than a year, or all sorts of different things. Well, the nice thing about filters is that they do what they do. The bad thing about filters is that unless you really understand where to go to get them, you can try and show people what to do, but getting them over here and getting them into the right place to click on them, well, if they're not nerdy, that can sometimes be a challenge. Another problem with filters is that you may have a certain filter and you may want to have a certain column layout for it. You may want it sorted a certain way. And so you have to teach people even more things. Well, we want to sort it this way, and we want to use this column layout. And all of a sudden they're like, and they aren't using it because it's too hard for them to do. I find that people tend to do what's readily available to them. In other words, what's up here. Now, this new feature in version 17 allows us to create something called quick views. Now, there are some neat quick views that I've got in my system that break things down by category, by area of practice is what we're looking at now. By attorney, here's the 5 attorneys in the firm, and here's their independently sorted and segregated active case lists. But maybe you have a filter over here that you would just like to get up here. How would you do that? It's not really that hard to do. You can add your own filters to this quick clicks area or this quick view area very, very simply. All you do is go into quick view, go into manage quick view, right click on manage quick views and choose new, give it a name. We're going to say, what was it? Our whatever is Ron, so we're going to say Ron's Matters. I can't remember his initials. We'll see it in a second. Click on filter. Here they are, RPA, Ronald Anderson, I guess. You can also choose which column layout to use, whichever one you've got, whichever one you want. And you can also choose, oops, I managed to get into column layout. You can choose which sort to use. So I want to sort it by client ID. Then here's the trick. We can tell it that we want to show it as a quick tab, and we can also say we want to show maybe a different color tab. So I'm going to say black with white letters. See that? This is the background color. This is the text color. So I chose black as background, white as text. Watch what happens. Right there. There it is. Ron's Matters. All I did was go over here. I created a new one. We're going to edit this one now. I told it which title to use for the tab. My phone has woken up and is listening to me. I told it which filter to use, and then if you want, you can give it a column layout and a default sort. You don't have to do that. I told it to show as a quick view tab, and I chose some colors to help it stand out. Now, somebody who doesn't even have quick clicks showing, doesn't even understand what is going on over here, can simply come into the client list, and when they do, they will have Ron's Matters right there. That, to me, is very, very cool because, okay, any attorneys that are attending, I'll apologize in advance. We're dealing with attorneys here. They need to have things in front of them. They're kind of focused. They need to have direct access to what they want access to. They don't want to have to click here and expand this and do that and click here and click there to get what they want to do. This brings it all right out into the surface, makes it very easy for them to simply come in, click on Ron's Matters, and there they have it. Now, a couple things to be aware of. If we go back into quick views and edit Ron's Matters, we can show them for all users or not. So if you're going to give Ron, the attorney, a couple filters that you designed just for him, then you're going to want to make sure not to say show for users, all users, and you're going to want to go into his office, log into PracticeMaster as him, and set these up for him to show up on his quick view area under the client file. If you want these things to show for everyone, maybe you've got one that shows all your active PI cases in Toledo, and you want it to show up on everybody's view area, all you have to do is click this. Now, if you're doing that, you have to be sure to have used a filter and a column layout that is also available for all users. So when I click on that, it says you can't do that because the filter that you're using is not shared. So it's important to understand that the elements underneath, the filter and the column layout, must also be shared or must be show for all users if you're going to make the quick view show for all users. So that's it, very simply. You have a filter, it already exists, it's over here, it says it's Pam's clients, you want to make it into a quick view, you simply go to Manage Quick Views, add a new one, give it a name, whatever you want to call it, you choose the appropriate filter. If you want, you choose a column layout and a sort, you don't have to. All you have to really do is check this box, you could give it a custom color, you save it, and bam, we've just created another one for Pam's clients. Any questions?
No, Paul, there are no questions.
That's awesome. So we have, for takeaway today, we have the ability to bring these things up to the front, these filters that maybe you've developed for some attorneys, and you can now give them to them in a way that is immediately accessible to them. And Mary Jo showed you some really neat stuff that you can do with reporting for the reports that are already there, how you can take those, use them, explore them, see if they meet certain needs of yours. Keep in mind that there's some really neat stuff we can do with those canned reports. So if you see one that's almost the way you want it and you can't quite get it to the way you want it, we can probably help, and we can probably do it really, really quickly, so it's not going to cost too much money. Next month in our PracticeMaster Virtual User Group meeting, we're going to talk about quick reports. Mary Jo talked about reports that are kind of thought out and they're planned and they're designed in the report writer. I'm going to talk about next month about really just getting a quick list of something and kind of popping it into Word so that you can print it real quick. We'll talk about the difference between that and PracticeMaster report and how you can do them and how you can organize them so that they're readable. We're also going to talk about Office 365. A lot of people are getting into the Office 365 world. That's Microsoft's new implementation of Office. You need to be aware if you have PracticeMaster and you're integrating with Office, for instance, if you have the toolbar in Outlook or the toolbars in PracticeMaster, or you're using document management, which of course is integrating with Word, you need to really pay attention to how those things integrate and how you're implementing Office 365 so that you don't put it in and then discover it doesn't work right with PracticeMaster that you have. So we're going to talk about that and talk about what the gotchas could be and how you can avoid them. Keep in mind that if you aren't able to attend next month's PracticeMaster Virtual User Group meeting, you can always go to our website, attorneycomputersystems.com. And if you get there, you will find the Virtual User Groups section that lists our 3 Virtual User Group meetings that we have, Tabs 3, PracticeMaster, and World Docs. We're going to wait for the secure connection to Attorney Computer Systems, and then we'll see these 3 Virtual User Group meetings listed under the Water Cooler Virtual User Group meeting section. So you can come here, and what you will find at the top is the registration link for the next available webinar or virtual user group meeting, and underneath it, recordings of all the other virtual user group meetings. So if you aren't able to attend, simply come here about, 2 days, anywhere from 2 days to a week later, and these will be posted ready for you. If you aren't able to attend and you want to be the first to be notified when they are posted, just register anyways. Even if you don't attend, Patty will still send you an email to let you know when the recorded version is available on the website. So everybody have a good rest of the afternoon, rest of the week, rest of the month. We will see you in May. Keep in mind we are not on the last Monday of the month in May because that would be Labor Day, Memorial Day. I always get confused about those two. That'll be Memorial Day, so we're the week before. So we're a week early. We're normally on the last Monday of the month for virtual user group meetings for Tabs and PracticeMaster. This coming month it'll be a week earlier. Thanks everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.